So I want to welcome you to Wake Up America, and we have a lineup of incredible poets. Our first poet is Devorah Major, and the poets will all be reading about 10 minutes or less, and they'll be introducing themselves. Thank you for being here, Devorah.
You're welcome. Okay, am I on?
You are on, and we are recording.
Wonderful. So, a few poems. I want to say thank you to everybody. I'm not going to be here the whole program, and I want to apologize in advance, but I have a friend who's in from Africa and leaving Tuesday, so this was the only day, so I'm doing two things at once. The few poems I picked out, most of them current events, with the idea of Wake Up America, and I want to start with resisting genocide. Everyone is writing poems about George Taylor or Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor or Sandra Bland, Emmett Till or Amadou Diallo, Trayvon Martin or Oscar Grant, Ramar Graham or Michael Brown, or so many others. But I have been writing poems about Black people murdered in the endlessly declared and undeclared wars of our times, dying while loved, dying while alone, dying while afraid, dying while besieged by enemy, dying while besieged by kin. I have been writing poems about Black people dying for about as long as I have been writing poems. And as I sit here searching for the right words to pen, my mouth is slack, tears held back in the litany of words I have already scribed as they roll out beneath me. And the only thing that seems to have changed is that more are dying. While more Black men, more Black women, more Black children, ever younger and more innocent, full of possibilities that far too few seem able to see. And more are killing each other for reasons even they cannot fully explain. Unreasoned rage, confusion, frustration, and desire. But at the center of each of these poems is the same, the killing of, the death of Black people. I already have stacks of poems with shiny tipped blades cutting my heart. Black people are killed without mercy or remorse, without fear of penalty. One Black person every 28 hours falls from a police officer, security officer, vigilante. Another 6,000 die each year from killing each other. Each of these murders killing our line, ending our future. So I write this poem for the living, who we need to offer more than cautionary advice. Say yes, sir, on demand. Keep your hands up and open. Stay aware and remember you are a hunted target. Always under siege, prejudged as criminal, wrong on account of color, wrong on account of neighborhood, wrong on account of clothes, wrong on account of music, wrong on account of birth. We need to make a way for all of them to stride with their smiles, lighting up dark corners as their neighbors watch out for the treasure of their inner beauty and the caprice of their outer style and the endless potential of their precious lives. So I really did cry while doing this. Thank you. This is a recent one, so we'll see how much finished it is, called Executing Officer for George Floyd. When you pressed your knee firmly on his neck, when you felt him quiver, when he gargled out his inability to breathe, when he cried out to the one who birthed him, when you saw him as worthless, not unlike the man you had killed before. You didn't know how he would rise to haunt you. As his name was inscribed at the Sankofa wall of Ghana, his face emblazoned on doorways, on shirts, on billboards, you did not know the power of his spirit. You did not know how many children would discover that the monsters they feared did not sleep under their beds, but walked the streets with badges and guns and looked just like you. You did not know that you were creating a martyr, now known around the world as a man of love, a man of peace. Not know that each night, each sleep-torn night, your cell would be lit with the eternal flame of that torch. And this next is called Down Pressers. I got Down Pressers from the Bob Marley song, Woe to the Down Pressers, they'll eat the bread of sorrow. You walked on our bones for centuries, turned them to sand, poured into sandboxes for your children to build sandcastles. And when the sand became translucent, filled with the sunlight burning your eyes, you found more to sacrifice and sent vultures to strip away our skins and build ladders formed from our ribs, limbs, and skulls on which you climbed to get a better view of the lands you planned to conquer. And now we rise, joined by some of your children and your grandchildren, who have eaten of shame to travel on the rails you laid with our bones. And each of you who block our path, try to press us back, will be blinded by our brilliance. Blinded, blinded, blinded by our brilliance. And I think I have one last one. Who shall inherit the earth? In Amharic, I once heard the correct translation was not the meek, broken, crushed, humiliated, low who would inherit the earth, but the gentle. And we are inheriting these streets, even as we sleep on them and are swept up only to return, sharp the edges of so many of our lives, fierce with hunger and pain, so much disillusionment and so very few triumphs. Even as the rulers squeeze tighter, cutting short our breath, hobbling our steps, harnessed together, we will inherit the earth, such as it is. Sad with violence and pestilence, the air clotted in gray islands covered with an ever-rising sea, turning, still it is becoming ours. Even as they wage their gruesome wars, killing and selling, buying and exporting death, advertising the price for each kill, factored into the decision to research, develop, manufacture, and buy the newest weapon to kill more quickly, more anonymously. Even as in the face of this hegemony of arms, every side buys from every side sells to every side. Even the pawns choose their weapons, aim and fire and die. Still, we gentle are joining together more and more tightly, inheriting the earth from those others who want only to have, to own, to hold, to control, as if they were hurricane as sun, arrogant in their perceived power, not understanding that all of it will explode or else disintegrate, and they will be left with misshapen, impotent stories of the times that used to be, while we remain, remembering our many losses along the way, still wounded and reeling. We gentle will inherit the earth and pull out our seed stock and begin to plant anew. And thank you all. Thank you so much. And an honor to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Devorah. Devorah was a third poet laureate of San Francisco, and now we have coming up Kim Shuck, who currently is a poet laureate of San Francisco. See.
Hiya.
Welcome. Hi there, Kim.
So you did my introduction. Really, very little else needs to be said about that.
Okay.
I have a couple poems for you. For those who don't know, I lost my daughter almost 8 years ago. And there's a lot of complicated stuff around that. But Native women die a lot, also at the hands of cops and other people. We are hunting the graveyards and practicing fly casting off the roof at 4 a.m. It must be summer. I paint the symbols on my feet, study the evolution of bats and 21st century poetry of the 600 block of Chenery. Oh, child. I braid you into my hair most days, and I'm the only one who can read you there, but then we are descended from the symbolic dead, and I'm becoming the old woman out of those stories. It's not as quickly as I'd hoped. I wrote for 50 days about disappeared and murdered Indigenous women. I'm going to read a couple and then I'm just going to pass it on. This is day one. Somewhere, she's afraid right now. It hurts to be strangled. The body panics. She's silenced, might die of stroke, pulmonary edema. The arteries might tear. Her head feels as if it might explode. This can take up to 5 minutes. Day two, blamed for her own death, bled out in a motel bathtub. In court, the defendant's attorney made her as inhuman as possible. Brought in body parts, her lifestyle, her identity at fault, as if the murder were a logical conclusion, as if her attacker had no choice, as if we were provocation in skin, another acceptable sacrifice. Day four, communities mended over and over. Light story touches the ones literally missing. Patched gatherings, families stiff with protective stitching. Our lost are not gone once, but every waking morning, every song without their voices. Each time, every time, and for all time. Day five, you are our leading cause of death. Vanished. I can feel myself going transparent. The car her daughter was last seen in was found in the lake, her child's dead body inside. Who has jurisdiction? Local police, reservation police, FBI. We don't know if there was a crime. We don't know if there was a white person involved. In the city, when she didn't come home, I called the police, and it was 3 days before they came to the house. Her disappearance was a choice, to not be hitchhiking. To afford a car, we need to work. No work in town, no public transit. Last seen standing by Highway 16 in the rain. I'm gonna end with this one. Day 39. Colonization years on. The emergency slows to always. And there is silence. A pregnant woman orders pizza, is dragged into the body count, and the headlines, mourned burnt houses. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I remember your daughter as one of the loveliest young ladies I've ever met. And I'm glad you had the courage to write about it. Thank you. Our next poet is Avotcja. And Avotcja is an incredible poet who has basically been mentored so many other writers, and feel very, very lucky that she is in all of our lives. Avotcja, are you here?
I'm here. Thank you. I'm honored to be here with all these wonderful folks. Wow, you're one of my heroes. Anyway, it's called I Cry Creativity. I was asleep, secure and comfortably asleep, dreaming of peace and love, hypnotized by a mirage of unity and togetherness, dancing away demons of war and hate in what I thought was a land of plenty. And what I've been taught was the land of the free. Then I opened my eyes, was slapped in the face by a wide-awake nightmare of senseless suicidal madness, a world of selfishness, insatiable gluttony, and rampant homelessness, created by short-sighted masters of fantasy so used to dealing from their deck of unfulfillable promises that they can no longer feel anything real. I opened my eyes and found myself sadly looking at those who were empty inside and seemed to think they can fill their emptiness with all kinds of pretty things and tons of money and more 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 money and the newest, prettier things. And all I could do was cry. Cry for those blindly drunk on greed as I write and smile as another poem is born. A poem about all the beauty the greedy can no longer see. I believe if we artists could only bottle our tears, no one would ever die of thirst. Our tears would become unifying melodies, creative, love-filled, organic, harmonious medicine. And we, an army, an inspiring army of creativity, we just might be able to heal the world, one note at a time. I call it still paying the price, because what we're going through is nothing new. It's come to my attention more times than a few that there are folks out there still embarrassed by me. They're waiting for me to act my age, to wise up and grow up, forget about feeding my soul on a diet of music and poetry instead of stuffing my psyche with envy and gold. Said they're waiting for me, praying for me to wake up and drop all that artsy-fartsy stuff. Stuff they have the audacity to call immature nonsense. One half-drunk intellectual phony even told me, my lifestyle could dishonor our mission of uplifting tradition, demanding I surrender to the blandness of their reality. Get up off my big artistic behind and find a little good old-fashioned upwardly mobile pride. Pull my head in out of fantasy land and get myself a real job. Join the morning army of the nondescript, bliss out in some nameless cubicle and lose myself among the lost hordes of the respectably bored and the boring. But the gods chose to smile on me, drop the gift of song on me, and when spirits speak to me, it always comes out poetry. And every wind that blows my way talks to me, begs me to keep on asking the same old question, how many ancestors had to lose their hands for me to be able to write this poem? Has the ambition to rise blinded some of our eyes? And the quest for acceptability lodged like stones in our ears, leaving us deaf, making us forget it was the unconquered power of our music and song that kept us keeping on, that kept us strong through the lynchings and the burnings and the stonings. It was our creative fire, a creative torch that lit our desire to inspire. It was our blue rhythm, the blue rhythm, I said, the blue rhythm in our gift, the gruesome dues behind the spiritual power in our songs all along the road to an always elusive goal called freedom. This is the gift that some would like to sit on the back burner, a blessing that some others would just love to ignore, forgetting those times when we were their all and there was nowhere else to go. They don't even know that they are what they're running from. How many hands, I say, how many hands were lost for us to be earn this unasked for right to become the backdrop for their unending pompous talkathons? Nothing more than court jesters relegated to ambiance, new age clowns on some modern day technologically hip plantation, mindless entertainment for the literati who have obviously forgotten that the gift of intellect in the hands of an insecure fool can become a curse that clogs the mind, then self-destructs and gets swallowed up, lost in the shallow hell of an inevitable but cruel retribution, a hell born of self-hate, a bitter, unhealthy dose of disrespect turned in on itself. And even though we are still ignored by some of our own, and I know I will never, I know we are never going to get anywhere near our 40 acres and a mule. We've always got this gift. It's written all over every single one of the billions of cells in our bodies, this gift. A stubborn, old, hard-headed ancestor's wish, this gift and undefeated dream, this gift paid for by hundreds of amputated hands and broken necks, bizarre decorations left hanging from too many trees, this gift and omnipotent patient wish that refuses to die in this poet's eyes, and because of some of us so-called artist types continuing to refuse to stick our heads in the convenient sands of selective amnesia. Somewhere this evening, the ancestors are dancing, laughing and dancing and stirring it up, even the stoic, too cool to groove halls of academia. Laughing because not even fear could stop us from writing. Dancing because I'm still asking, I ask you, what was the course? Can anybody tell me how many hands were lost for me to write this poem? And last but not least, oh wait, no, I'm gonna do two more if it's okay. This one's called Homegrown Como Mango. I'm a mangoholic for those, and everybody's got their favorite some kind of thing, and I always assumed that mango was from somewhere in the Caribbean, and then found out it was from Malaysia. And the mango now goes everywhere, including California, and it's sort of like us, like we from Africa, and now we grow here in New York and wherever. So this is called Homegrown Como Mango. And the lesson in this one is I ask you to please, if you don't know some of these people's names, you need to go and learn who they are. Bookman, Harriet Tubman, Esteban Montejo, Granny Nanny, Aguebana, and Zumbia Palmade. I am the ghost, that dirty little secret, a big mouth, obstinate, undefeated secret, a bold and brazen secret that refuses to behave or disappear. I hide in the shadows of the worst of your nightmares and swim in the despicable depths of the unspeakable, a disgraceful, insatiable bloodlust. I come swaggering like the proud silence of all those hard heads that couldn't be unhinged, strong folks that wore the only arrogance they were allowed on road after road after road after road to a perverse circus only to be lynched. I am the corpse, an unstoppable spirit, and nothing and nobody can hold me down for too long. I keep on kicking the tops off coffins, forever climbing up out of playgrounds born of ignorance, covered by quicksand on top of colored only graveyards. I am this ghost, the reincarnation of bodies beaten bloody, castrated, raped, and burned alive without ever giving an inch or dismemberment or weird form of entertainment or an adrenaline rush for the soulless. I am the ghost. More terrifying, I say, I am more terrifying than the boogeyman's wicked stepmama. I vomit blood-curdling screams for all those that wouldn't, couldn't, and didn't just so they could watch their cowardly murderers scream. Watch as their fear. I say watch their fear as our aunts and uncles dance. Yes, we dance, and I'm not ashamed to admit we dance, blissfully dance, all up in the face of an insanity born to self-destruct. I was made in America. Don't have to waste my precious time trying to get even. I have nothing more to give to this madness but my absence, and if I didn't learn anything else from my ancestors, they taught me. Our greatest revenge is the creative magnificence of our stamina. My revenge is knowing that we came through it all and landed on our feet. Real revenge is knowing I'm just one of the many, one of America's millions of 100% homegrown success stories. And from my seat, I say from my seat, success is tasting mighty sweet. Sweet like banana and pigeon peas, avocado and breadfruit, guava and coconut bread, melassa, maize, and callaloo. There's going to be times, I say many times, we're going to have to fall, but we're coming back strong. A bold and brazen secret that refuses to behave or disappear. We are the ghost reborn, ever moving forward, ever moving forward, and still we sweet, 100% homegrown, dulce, como mango. And last but not least, and we are, they kill us and they kill us and they kill us and they kill us, but they don't realize that each one of them that they kill is reborn in us all the time. They cannot kill us all. Anyway, this is called I Know We Can, and I wrote this. I have to do this because I think some of us think this is new, what we're going through. Ain't nothing new about what we're going through. I'm 70, in fact, a couple of days from now, I'll be 79 years old. And there's not been 1 year that I've been alive that there have been Black folks killed all over this planet on a regular basis for the entertainment of the soulless. And so I want to remind us, I wrote this the day after a certain person got into that seat. I had to keep my sanity. It's called I Know We Can. And please, at the end, join me and say it. We have been here before. We have sang in the face of the Klan and danced with feet all bloody on the decks of slave ships, on the longest walk, on freedom marches and jail cells and concentration camps, those ghettos that we're supposed to call home. We know this place, the concrete jungles, the reservations, a curse of and by the uncivilized who have forgotten the healing beauty of grass and trees and the gift of clean water to drink and have lost their ability to love. We are familiar with the senseless mayhem of perpetual war, the addictive lust for power, the intoxication of bloodlust, and those who prefer the inhumane sacrifice of their souls as they try to steal ours. Yes, 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 we have been here before. We know the hanging tree, the rope, the rape of our bodies, our cultures, the theft of our songs and our children. We have swam through the slime of misogyny. We have been here. We've been here. We've been here. We know the racism, greed, and stupidity have no conscience. And it's only a matter of time before the insatiable self-destruct, before they devour each other. We've been through it all before. And we can get through it all again. We just have to be careful, very, 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 very careful. The madness of this narcotic is contagious. We must not get drunk on the stench of this poison. We have too much work to do. We must turn the suicidal drug into fertilizer. Let our tears, I say, let our tears fall down on deserts, glaciers, and jungles and run down the faces of good-hearted people everywhere. I cry and 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 my tears come like a waterfall, an unending waterfall for all the victims of civilization. We've been here before, and together we can heal. I know we can. Can you say it? Just say it. I know we can. Say it. I can. Thank you
I
so
know
much.
we can.
Thank you.
No, we can't.
No, we can't.
Thank you. Thank you, Avotcja. I know we can. Our next poet is Ayodele Nzinga.
This first piece is called Family. Before the war on families, we were different together. Warm hands, deep voices, roses in the spring, melon in the summer, school clothes, car vacations, aunts, uncles, grandpas and grannies, presents on Christmas morning, Easter dinner, church on New Year's Eve. We were holding vigil, keeping watch, Granny said. We remembered cotton, sunrise to sunset, hardworking in factories, construction, in kitchens, garages, in slaughter yards, rail cars, shipyards, steel mills, work for willing hands. Our hands were willing. School days, learning America from America, holding us accountable, showing us what men look like. We saw, we knew, we followed in footsteps, hoping to climb higher. We remembered cotton. We were determined. We pushed and got shoved back. Heads high, we sat down. We shall not be moved. Answered by hoses, dogs, drowned in the ink of institutions that drug holes for our dreams. We were waves rising, marching, chanting. We taught the world to sing freedom.
Yes.
Granny told us about cotton. We remembered to remember. We became doctors, lawyers, judges, store owners, soldiers, accountants, teachers, and preachers, embracing the gospel of bootstraps, legislated rights, sitting spooks at doors, praying our time in the bosom of the past wrapped round us as we stood on it, reaching together in small backyards, at birthday parties, reunions, and repasts after the funerals of old people who know the people in the pictures and the neighbors who knew them and you since you were little, bringing food, telling stories that keep the connection alive because we knew. We were all walking the same way on the road, building home with our hearts and our hands. Even after urban renewal, after eminent domain, after the factory, mill, garage closed, after the prison opened, after heroin swallowed 110th Street, before Freeway Rick, before Vietnam, before the post office took Granny's house and stuck her in the projects. She never owned another house. Died sleeping on Aunt Glo's couch. Aunt Glo's house where all the cousins grew up, where the childhood memories lived, until the bank refinanced Aunt Glo's house. The same bank that would not give her grandfather the money to build, they refinanced it during the boom, and then they lowered that boom. When Aunt Glo could not float the balloon, they hung in the small print. Before cousin Fat Boy thought he was an urban cowboy and they caught him with scales in his Cadillac, bright red with white wall tires, Granny wouldn't ride in it. But we saw Fat Boy, and some of us followed him to prison and then took that ride to the graveyard with him. We moved like sharecroppers, like dream chasers, like those denied a resting place, with hope and persistent faith in the America we learned in rooms filled with other brown children. We moved for jobs. We moved to find a place. We moved to get away. We moved to the projects. No yards, no swings, no park. Daddy gone. Mama got to work, be worked by the system, get into the system of manlessness. Boys become men in houses with sad women who must go on, who lay with women, who lay with men who won't raise other men's children or their own, still children themselves, numbered, caged, missing from dinner tables missing, microwave dinner, numbered in cages, missing from dinner tables missing, microwave dinners on laps in front of screens, chasing other realities, children lost to street corner fantasies. Even weeds will grow. Wild things bloom whether or not they are cared for. Sisters see mothers settling, suffering, struggling, lost in following suit, lost in rebellion. Who will save the babies born to babies? Girls looking for love, smothered by responsibility, toward work, confused by media, men, and the tide washing away what it means to be a woman. Redefined by a public sphere that chains them with labels after chaining them in reality. We are in transition to a visibility that we craft, but we have not found the time or the ink to write the rules or to overstand the story of broken families, broken connections, broken like covenants, family overwritten by myth, ethnographers, and Fox News. What happened to Black families? The way we saw ourselves when we were whole or more whole, or strong in the face of holes dug by ink, institution, and hate before we fell into the holes, shattering the whole mother, father, child thing, the thing we relearned after the spoons in the bottom of the boat thing, before the cotton fields, after the sharecropping, after world wars, war on drugs, war on terrorism, war on Black men, war on Black women, war on Black children. Before the war on us, we remembered cotton. We were different. It's called The Final Dream of Flight. I have a pen. I've written my own story. I read yours. It was narrow, sad, predictable on so many levels. It did not predict my flight. I wrote it, the text offered. I spoke it softly, looking at the sky when it seemed impossibly far away. My story of myself and the stars are closer. My pen still moves on still water in storm in the dead night, line after line of code, prayer, cartography, midwifery, finessed, hexes, my own exorcism of demons tied to the page, then set on fire, deconstructed by my clever tongue, delivered directly to my executioners, who are surprised. I can see them, and I know they're naked, and I've lost, and they have lost their power over me. I know that I have written the danger of knowing into the story like a character flaw. It may be the death of me, but I see it coming. Because in my story, I'm awake with loaded desert eagles when they come through the door, and only I leave the room. I am not where you left me, nor am I what you expect to find. I am off the reservation, coloring outside the lines, speaking during the movie, telling you the monster is in the closet. I am not in the cage, the cell, the grave, the asylum. I am a free-range radical, the ghost in the machine, hiding in plain sight, the spook behind the door, the heretic who remembers to remember. Out loud. I'm hard to kill, multiplying. The reasons I exist, thrive, find air in the vacuum you wrote for me. I'm not on that page. I flew the coop, wrote a sonnet, ate a haiku, read the world and spit back text that resists being conquered, rejects borders, boxes, chains, and narrow tails, the rules of tyrants and naked executioners. I am not where you left me, nor am I what you expect to find. I have a pen. I have written my own story.
Thank you so much for delivering. That was incredible. Thank you, Ayodele Nzinga.